What's up, beautiful queens? This is Hadiatu Dumbuya, and I'm excited for another Brunching with Beauties call, which we started this call during the pandemic because we felt like everybody needed a little bit like life and love and all those different things. And so we're bringing that to you. And how we do it is we find 3 to 4 phenomenal queens every single week. And we say, can you share your expertise? See, what we all have to understand is that it will never dull your shine to help you are able to accomplish in life with collaborations. And so this is going to be a space for that, for you to be able to learn from some different people that you can collaborate with and be able to partner with to have some serious fun in life. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to do this. Let me make sure everybody is muted out, because the way our backgrounds are set up and the way that my attention span is set up, we all going to be in trouble if Hadi hears noises. All right. So we're going to get started with our first phenomenal queen. And if you've been on this call before, you know that we have a couple people that are like staples, and they're a necessity in life. Like you feel like it's like an IV. When you feel dehydrated, you need like an IV. It's like those types of people. And one of them is one of my very good friends that I met years ago through our lifestyle club. And I heard great things about her. She exceeded my expectations. She has been able to help families create bonds and relationships. Ones that were breaking up, she was able to get them back, heal them. She's a cheerleader for everybody. If you guys know her, you love her, because you know that that's just what she is. She's also a podcaster. So she has her own podcast. She's an author. She's just like thebomb.com. She's also found a way to make a 6-figure income on the side of the things that she was doing, always into diversifying her income in positive ways. Man, she is my sister from another mister, who is going to talk to us about something that we all need to hear a lot about: change. Okay. And so without further ado, I'm excited to introduce you all to, or reintroduce you all to, Miss Christy Little Jones.
You all. Thank you so much, Hadi. I love you. Thank you so much for just your introduction. Always is so great. I missed you ladies the last 2 weekends. It was interesting because I went on vacation. I didn't go where I wanted to go on a dream trip and all that, because that was close. It was they had been canceled this summer, but we just rented a house in Virginia Beach, and I hadn't been there in a while, and it was great. It was like 2 blocks from the beach, so the kids were able to walk to the beach, and we allowed them to bring 1 friend each. So it was really just a blessing to be able to see your children experience something new together with one of their best friends. And so that just warmed my heart as a mom and a parent. And I did not realize, working from home is something that, because I live in DC, and I work in Baltimore, developing the employee wellness program for Baltimore City Public Schools, and it's through Kaiser Permanente. So my drive was like, before I moved to DC, it was like 4 hours a day. Like it was 2 there and 2 back. It was terrible. So I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait I would love to work from home. Listen, working from home for the last 7 months, I'm like, I cannot wait to go drive back to Baltimore. So I did not realize that I needed a break. I so needed the week to do nothing, to just relax and catch up with my family. And so I want to encourage you, if you're like me and thinking, oh, working from home is kind of like a vacation because you thought it used to be like that before the pandemic, it is it's way harder. I feel way busier. I feel like I have way too many Zoom back-to-back meetings throughout the day, but just take a break, right? Take a break from the screen, take a break from that part of your life. And I didn't realize how much I needed it until this past week. So with that being said, I missed you the last 2 weeks. I know that and heard that it was amazing. You guys had some amazing speakers on there. So I just feel privileged to be here today to share just about change with you guys. So the first thing I love the interaction with you sisters. So if you can just tell me in the chat, what in particular stresses you out? So write it in the chat. What stresses you out? I want to hear it. I want to see what stresses you out. Hi, Nicole. Love you much. Happy birthday, Pam. Okay. Bills. Yes. So good. Nurse. Yeah. Bills, time management. Absolutely. Shannon Lee, change. Yes. Having too much to do. My husband, yup. Health issues, yes. Lack of sleep, balancing, mistreatment at work, family, bills, working full time with 2 kids in school. Let me just tell you, I'm gonna get to that in a second. Responsibilities, yeah. School, multiple businesses at the same time, absolutely. Inconsiderate people. These are all really great. And it really helps for me to segue into what I want to talk about. But first, before I jump in, I really want to just acknowledge all of you moms, parents, aunties, godmoms, grandmoms who are home working and trying to help your children through this digital learning experience. I had 3 babies in 3 years, so I have a 9th, 10th, and 11th grader. And let me just tell you, I thank God every day that they are not 5, 6, and 7, or 7, 8, and 9, or 9, 10, and 11, that they are old enough to know, how to get on Zoom, do what it is that they need to do, find their homework digitally. And my prayers and heart goes out to those of you who are working from home, who have little ones, who are like kindergarten, 1st grade, pre-K, who are looking at the computer like, what is this? And what am I supposed to be doing? And they're like moving around and they're bouncing and they're like, okay, like seriously? I'm like, oh my goodness, how are we doing this now with these little kids? So my literally a standing ovation to all of you who have little babies at home trying to manage this. Absolutely. I can only imagine the level of stress and trying to do your work and your meetings, and then try to manage them. Mom, I don't know how to do this, Mom. Too much. Okay. So this is perfect because during this quarantine, it was very difficult for me. To be totally transparent, I was in March 11th is when they sent us home from work to work from home. And I just thought, okay, this is going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be maybe 30 days. But when it started extending into, and I heard people talking about, oh, this will be through the summer. And, I was very disappointed. And it was compounded because I had an 8th grader who was finishing up his 8th grade year, and his siblings were able to have all of the fun things going on and he did not. And then I had a dream trip to St. Lucia in June, canceled. One to the Dominican Republic in August, canceled because my kids' passports expired during the quarantine and they couldn't get it renewed. So and then turned 50 in July. So it was just disappointment upon disappointment upon disappointment. And so today, I want to ask, how would you rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 to adapting to change? Put it in the chat. How would you rate yourself? 1 being terrible, 10 being awesome, I've mastered it, in adjusting or adapting to change. Where would you put yourself? Okay, we've got some over 5s. That's good. Nicole, I need to have you be new you training right now. And you too, Jeannie. You guys are adapting to change. 10s, 7s. Awesome. That is so great. Because I thought I would have been a 10. I thought I would have been maybe an 8, 9, right? But I realized that I sucked at it. I realized that I allowed the circumstances that we were going through to really affect my mood. And I realized it when it was hard, like happiness and joy, kind of like Hadi, it's a default, it's innate. It's something that I look for every day, right? And I don't really have to work at it. But when I started having to work on wonderful. I had to start working on my joy. I was like, oh no, something's got to change. And so I want to just share with you some of the things that have helped me to adjust to change, and all of the things that you mentioned in the chat earlier. So bills, responsibilities, getting older without having accomplished goals, being an adult. Ada, listen, high five to you, absolutely. Failing to do what I said I was going to do, inconsiderate people, responsibilities. Now, one of the things that I've learned to practice, especially during this time, is staying in the present. Staying in the present moment makes a huge difference in our energy, our demeanor, and how we kind of see the world, right? Because if we're worried about what's going to happen next week, next month, next year, it takes us out of the space or the place of truly being present and living in the moment. Now, I think that being in this quarantine during this pandemic, it's helped us to refocus on being in the moment, because most of us are on autopilot. Most of us are just going through the motions, checking off the boxes. Like, you might have a routine, but that moment where you are driving and you end up going somewhere out of routine, but that's not where you meant to go because you're really not present. You're like, oh no, I wasn't supposed to go that way, but that's the way you normally go. That's not being present. So when you are intentional about being present in your place, in your space right now in this moment, today, and you are not multitasking, or you're not trying to talk to your child while you are scrolling through, trying to read something on social media, or you are, literally focusing on what you're doing right now in the present. Number 2 was only focus on what is in your personal control. I teach a lot of classes on stress management and, various health topics, high blood pressure, cholesterol, healthy sleep, things like that. And one of the things that is kind of a common thread through that is focusing on what is in your personal control. Are bills in your personal control? Not really, right? I mean, because they're going to come regardless. Right? They may be, right, if you want to have them on auto pay, right? If you auto pay it and you don't want to see it, yes, maybe that could be in your control. But your responsibilities are your responsibilities. Your lack of sleep, yes, that is in your personal control. Health issues, maybe. Your husband, maybe. Having too much to do, yes. Change is change, right? So if we cannot, can we control what's going on with this pandemic? We can't. Can we control that our children are being, in digital learning? I have 2 kids who are going to brand new schools this year. They don't have friends. One of them is a super sanguine, like really likes interaction and meeting new people, struggling, right? Because this is the way it is right now. So why should I stress out? Why should I put any energy or weight on myself about something that I have no personal control over? It really zaps not only your energy, but it zaps the focus. So the focus needs to be in the present, right? So what is it that we can do right now with this digital learning thing to help us all move through it more gracefully, right? So focus on what is in your personal control. Number 3, stay positive. Watch your words and your thoughts. Power of life and death is in your tongue, right? The power is in your words. What it is that you speak, you give life to that. So if you are whining and complaining and you're negative and you're just in a bad space, it's better to not say anything. It's better to keep your mouth closed, not say anything, and start working on renewing your mind, right? So whether it's putting on a positive tape, a motivational tape, a motivational book, something that you can start doing to take your mind off of the negativity of whatever it is that you are thinking about. Because one of the things that I do know is you cannot have a positive and a negative in the same thought. Right? And I know you ladies know this. So if you're focusing on the positive, we need to feed it, fuel it as fast as possible. So what I've done is I've created a playlist that's my go-to. Now, the playlist initially came about when I was having argument with my husband, and I wanted to say some choice words that would have made it worse. So I decided to create a playlist to go to whenever I need to shift my atmosphere quickly. And so I have a playlist of about 6, 7 songs, those songs that if you put your earbuds in or earpods, whatever, and you are in the room by yourself, but you listen to this music and you're in the room by yourself, it is your world and nobody's watching. Okay, we all have those kind of songs that we just want to zone out to. Don't look at me, don't talk to me. I just need to be in my space and I need to create a happier atmosphere. So it's those kind of songs. So that's one of the things that I did. So every time I'm feeling down or negative, or I feel like the disappointment is compounding too much, I will go straight to that playlist. And it really does immediately shift my space. And then the last thing was to speak your gratitude. So what I mean by speaking your gratitude, like you give life to the words that you say. So if I say, I am grateful for waking up this morning. I'm grateful that I can stand and sit up, because I can stand and I can walk, because one of my best friends is in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. I am grateful for a house a home. I'm grateful for a car. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful that I have Brunching with Beauties. I have friends that love me and support me. I'm grateful. So like what Hadi does, every Brunch and Beauties, what are the 5 things you're grateful for? There's so much power in that, because it really, you cannot be grateful and complaining and whining and disappointed and negative in the same space. So and sometimes when I'm feeling that negativity, we can feel it, right? When I'm feeling it, I'll just start saying it out loud. I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful I got to do yoga today. I'm grateful that I feel rested. I'm grateful, right? So start saying them out loud and just watch and notice how, wow, that really made a huge difference. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys is, that is so hard to do during this time, doing it to being so many unknowns. Roxanne, listen, I am right there with you. I am so right there with you. But the reason why it's hard to do it is because you're focusing on the unknown. So what can you do to focus on what you do know? So instead of, because I was right there with you, I was focusing on, okay, when are they going back to school? When are they going to be able to play football? When are they going to be able to, because I'm one of those moms that I'm at the games and I love it, right? So I'm so upset that they haven't been able to play a season since last fall. So start noticing where your thoughts are going. So one of the things that I did when my kids were little, and it's made such an impact to them as teenagers now, is I created what we called a death jar. So every time somebody spoke death, which is something negative, they had to put, whether it was a penny in the jar, a quarter as they got older, $1, right? Now this was holding themselves accountable to saying something negative out of their mouth. So when they were like, Mom, I can't do it, $1 in the death jar. Mom, that was so stupid, $1 in the death jar, right? So when you start thinking something negative, if you already know you're kind of a negative person, this is a really great exercise for you. Put a coffee bean or pennies, something like that. Get a little jar of, like a mason jar or a bowl or something, and just do it for 24 hours and see how many negative thoughts you collect in your mind. So with this death jar, I mean, we did it when they were little, like 4, 5, right? So it was about holding them accountable to the words that they speak. So it was so powerful when their friends came over and I would hear them playing or talking, and then one of my kids would say something, and one of their friends would be like, it's $1 in the death jar. So it was effective to the point where they were holding each other accountable to saying negative things. And I would do it with my girlfriends, especially, oh gosh, I feel fat today, or I hate the way I look, dollar, dollar, dollar. So I've collected several $100s over the last year, or years, I should say, from my girlfriends, because I hold them accountable to saying negative things. And so it's so funny because now they'll say, or even in text message, I'm like, that's $1. So even if they text it, I'm like, that's $1. So it's so funny because now they're like, Christy, dollar off the table. What do you mean dollar off the table? It doesn't make a difference if you say dollar off the table or not. You still need to speak life to your life because there's power in the words that you say. So this definitely shifts your energy. Staying in the present, focus on what's in your personal control. Stay positive, watch your words and your thoughts, and then speak your gratitude. I am grateful for. It shifts the energy in your life and will really help you to adjust and shift to the change that is constant. 24-hour change that we're dealing with each and every day. So that's all I have for you guys. Any questions?
Girl, I'm doing that. I'm going to do that death jar, and I'm about to be a millionaire. Watch me.
Yes!
Watch me. Don't play with me. I'm for real, because you know what? In our household, it's not a ton of that, but I am the girlfriend that, like, you can tell everything that's going wrong, and, I listen to you and try to kind of help you through it, but I like the idea of being a girlfriend that's like, girl, listen, that's the death jar type of shit. You can do it. You're just going to cash at me. So now that we got the cash app and you doing $1, I might do $5. My friends might not ever call me again. Like, I'm not calling Hadiatu. It's too expensive to call that girl.
Yes.
But no, change is something that I think that all of us are, and it's like a continuous, like everybody's going through so many different things. I felt like it was so different for like the month. I felt like my mood was different, and I'm like naturally positive, but it still was just not all the way me. And I was realizing that other people around me had moods that I wasn't trying to deal, but I couldn't tell if it was my mood or their mood. But I knew this. It was because things were just shifting. Like, we still didn't know what was going on with sports. And if you have a man in your life, like, the obsession with sports is real. So no sports equals problems in the household that you weren't prepared for. So I'm so happy football started today. Thank God. Yes. But no, I think that is a great thing for us to think about. The affirmation said the borders being closed in a particular country and not knowing when they'll reopen has caused me a lot of negative thoughts during these past few months. So I'm going to really try these strategies. Yeah, for sure, Shannon. Like, you can't control it, Go ahead, Christy. You can kind of like address that.
Yeah, you definitely can. And it really is when you can stay so present that you are even monitoring your own thoughts, it is so powerful. It really is going to change the way life shows up for you. So because we just let them run rampant, like all of our thoughts, whether it's when we wake up in the morning and we see ourselves and, like, oh my gosh, I look old. Like when you're present to really catch yourself from doing that, one of the things I want you to do is, 1, don't beat yourself up. 2, if you do say something negative or even think something negative, I want you to say the absolute opposite right then and there, right? So you want to replace it with a positive thought. You want to replace it with a new thought. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I look old. Let me rephrase that. I look beautiful. I look young, right? Don't I look young today? Don't I look fabulous today, right? And now this is just you and yourself. So when you say something negative, switch it with a positive, something positive. So if you say, oh, I'm broke, I have no money. I am abundantly wealthy. I have thousands of dollars coming to me. Kind of what Hadi was saying about being an attraction, right? A money magnet. You've got to speak it. So when you catch yourself saying something negative, it's a lot easier to say the opposite, to replace it with something positive. So that's kind of the strategy with the death jar in conjunction with that.
I like that. I like the replacing for sure. I think that that's something that I haven't done before, but catch yourself. So you're putting the money in the death jar anyway, but then go ahead and just change, you know, your words that are coming out of your mouth. So I love it, guys. Thank Christy tons and tons as we move into our next speaker. She gave us tons of value. Can you tell everybody how to find you? That way they can stay connected to you.
Please go to Instagram. I'm rebuilding. It's wife.wisdom. And I'll put it in the chat. And then also tomorrow, guys, we are doing a webinar at 7 p.m. and it's going to be what women really want in relationships. So it's going to be a panel, and I'd love to have you guys hop on because I'd love to hear your take on it as well. And in a few weeks, we're going to be doing the guys and what do guys really want in relationships. So we're going to have single, married, divorced, and everything kind of in between. So we're going to talk to the guys as well. So go to wife wisdom. It's wife.wisdom on Instagram, and I'd love to connect with you there. Thanks, Hadi.
No, thank you. We definitely appreciate it. And I'll probably be able to hop on for a couple of minutes before another call, but I'll at least show my face real quick. I want to hear it. Yes, we need to get like all the men that we know in our lives for them to hop on for real. It's not even for the ladies to hop on. It's like the men, y'all need to know what's up.
Absolutely. That is absolute. I've had several people ask, can men get on? Please invite your men, because they really do not know sometimes, because we think so differently. They don't know what it is that we really want. They're like, oh, and then when they hear it from other women, they're able to receive it differently than when it comes from their woman. And so, yes. And then my Wife Wisdom podcast comes out on Mondays as well. And you can get that on iTunes, Spotify as well.
So somebody's asking for the Zoom info, but is it just a live that you're doing? How are you gonna for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do let me see if I can find the Zoom info, and then I'll just post it in the chat.
Okay, perfecto. And you can put it on the Facebook page too. That way you can stay connected there also. So thank you, Christy, always giving us light and giving us information about change, things that all of us can go ahead and implement. That's my favorite, is that every speaker gives you something that you could take and actually implement into your life. Because I'm a note taker. So I don't know if any of you guys are like me, but like if I leave a whole talk and I can't take any notes, I'm like, I don't remember everything. So no, we appreciate you tons and tons. Love you lots. And we're going to move into our next queen. And this is a new queen to the group, right? So you guys haven't seen or heard from her, but this is a young lady in Detroit that is a complete and total influencer on multiple different levels. If you're on Facebook, you'll see her pop up like every 5 minutes with something. Like she got something going on, some conversation that's being had. She's interacting like crazy. And through the years, what I've noticed is that she's created so many different platforms where people feel connected. And so, you know, like there's some people that have like tons of followers, but they're not really connected to the people. Like that's a complete opposite of this young lady. And so she is a registered nurse by profession. So she went to school as a registered nurse, but then she ventured out and was like, I need to do a little bit more. So if there's anybody that's on here right now that in your heart of hearts, you're like, I went to school and I did the things that I need to do, but I know that there's something more, this is going to speak to your entire soul. And so she has been able to create multiple different businesses from the things that she learned and from what made her so happy. And I love it because I'm watching it flourish on a continuous basis. Huge contracts like from Google that are coming in for her. And she is a D girl. So she's here in Detroit doing her thing. And, you know, without further ado, I'm definitely excited to introduce you to Nurse Charms. And, you know, you guys will get a feel of what she's done. And what she's going to talk to you guys about is the fact that you really can accomplish anything that you want. You know, never let your life or what somebody spoke over your life to make you feel like that's what life has to be or that's the box you need to stay in. And so without further ado, I will introduce you to this beautiful queen, and the call is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Good afternoon, everyone. That glowing introduction, I love it. It just melts my heart. And I just see, I don't know if everyone knows, we actually have 53 participants on here. So that's really a blessing. I don't, this is my first time, so I don't know how many people you get, but that's huge. So kudos to, producing all these things. But yeah, so today, like Hattie said, I'm going to talk to you about, setting goals. And as you said, I'm a registered nurse. So one of the things I've learned as a registered nurse, just in school, we learned how to set goals, patient goals. So I, in turn, use that same process for my life, or whatever goals that I want to accomplish. I use this same strategy. So I'm going to share that with you. So first, I just want to talk about, recently I just bought a car, and the great thing about it is that this was a total miracle and blessing, because this pandemic, it really caused me, it really set me back a lot. I'm sure you guys can understand why, but just financially, because I have a place that's very, very expensive to maintain my business, and my landlord did not stop my payments from coming to him every month. So it's like, okay, so how am I supposed to pay for this and pay for my home and everything else I got going on? So just really had to figure all those things out. And then my car went out. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So here I am. I'm just like stuck with all of these issues going on. So I'm like, okay, I have to get a plan. I have to figure this out. So when we talk about like a patient care plan, we first start off with an assessment. So assess your life, assess everything's going on, basically, gather data. So we just need to see what everything is going on, so you can kind of prioritize things. Okay, so for my situation, I need to pay my rent, or my lease for my spa, and then my other situation is my car. So I started with those two things, because I'm like, I gotta have transportation to work, and I have to have a business. I don't want my business to shut down. So basically, then from your assessment, you gather all your data, then you come to your goal. Okay, so what's going to be your goal? Your short-term goal and your long-term goal. So I had to write my landlord a letter, and basically, just ask him, can I do like small installments of payments, and just kind of make goals, like, okay, at this Friday I'll pay you this much, next Friday I'll pay you that much, the Friday after that, just have different dates. And he began to understand, or whatever. He just wanted to see some type of payment coming in. So those are my short-term goals. Basically, I told him, I'll pay X amount of dollars, this month, X amount of dollars next month, and so forth. So that's how I had to work that out. And mind you, my business was closed. So even though I wasn't physically working, I still had to pay the lease. My business was closed for like 5 months. So I'm still having to make these payments, even though my business is closed. So it was a struggle, but it worked out, or whatever. I had to use the savings that I had. And then from there, so my car, so finally, once my business opened, then I had this car situation. And so with the car situation, I'm going like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I literally don't have any money to buy a car right now. And then my credit wasn't the best. So I'm basically like in a situation where I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, so how am I going to get a car? So my immediate goal was just like, okay, just get some type of transportation. So I had to rent a car, try to get the cheapest rental car possible, and just had to try to rent a car. That was like my short-term goal. And, my long-term goal is like, okay, I'm gonna, either buy or lease a car. So then I had to figure out, okay, I need a bank to approve me. You know what I'm saying? With my credit score not that good, where can I go where a bank is actually gonna approve me, to finance so I can buy a car? So I'm looking through all of my contacts. Finally, I found a contact, and I realized that he was actually the finance loan, the loan officer, the finance manager of a dealership. So I'm telling him my situation. And sometimes as a leader, it's kind of hard to tell people what's going on with your situation, because you kind of feel like, you want to be strong, you want to handle everything in silence yourself. You really don't want to talk about it. You don't want to let people see that you're struggling. But, sometimes you have to find somebody to confide in and trust. And, you have to seek help. So that's what I did. And it worked out because, he was willing to help me out, but still, I had to get the money. So then that was another thing. So I'm going like, okay, well, what do I have that I can earn money off of? So I also have a t-shirt business. So I sell different types of trendy t-shirts and graphic t-shirts. So I'm using Facebook ads to push these t-shirts and sell them. So if it's anything else that you guys do, like if you cook, if you make candles or whatever type of talent, everybody has some type of talent or some, type of craft that they can do. Utilize that to make some extra money. So I'm like, okay, well, let me start selling, these t-shirts. And so then I made some money with that and, saved up some money. And then I took that to the dealership, and then they went through it was like 2 or 3 banks they went through, because people were like, no, we're not going to take her. No, we're not going to take her. I was like getting so nervous and stressed, like, oh my gosh. But then it came to another bank. And so then they finally accepted me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you. And so I was able to purchase a brand new car. So that's like my highlight. I just got it on Friday. So that's just my highlight this weekend, because prior to that, like I said, I was in rental cars and it was getting expensive. I'm like, I can't go through the whole month in a rental car. Like, I'll literally be spending $500 a week. I don't have $500 a week. So it's like this whole critical thinking process you have to do when you're doing your goal setting and when you're doing your interventions. And sometimes a lot of people, they don't, and the reason why I was so passionate about teaching this, because people just think like, oh, okay, I have this goal and this is how I'm going to do it. But no, you have to really critical analyze, and you have to really take the time to strategize each step of the process. Like, this is not just an easy thing, just saying, okay, I'm going to get out of debt. Okay, well, how are you going to get out of debt? You have to come up with, measurable, objective goals. And then you want to come back and you want to reevaluate that process. So now that I have this car, it's like I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, okay, so still, while I have limited income, because I'm still trying to, recover from being closed for so long. So I'm still trying to make payments, and I don't want to, fall behind and have my car repoed or anything. So it's like I have to have these measurable goals. So it's like every week I have to set aside a special amount of money so I can make sure that I have this car note and my insurance every week. So it's like every last thing, every last step of the way, and your goal and your interventions, you have to be sure to do those things, or you'll never meet your goal. And then sometimes it can just feel discouraging, because people, they make these goals and then they never reach them. And it's like they're like, well, what happened? Like, oh my gosh, I'm still in the same place. Like, if you wanted to get married, if you want to start your business. So sometimes you have to just take time to look at the steps, and are those realistic objectives that you've made, in order to establish your goals. So in the chat, just I want everybody to list one of their goals, and make it a measurable goal. So like, I don't know, by December you want to do A, B, and C, or maybe by the end of this week. By the end of this week you want to do A, B, and C. So everybody go in the chat, whoever's willing to put their goals out there, go ahead and put out a goal that you want to accomplish this week. So another thing about setting goals I want to talk about is everybody has to be healthy, because if you're not going to be able to go to work, you're not going to be able to take care of your kids, you're not going to be able to do anything. So I want everybody to think about, what are you doing every day to maintain your health? So, and when you think about your health, that's your mind, that's your body, that's everything, that's what you eat. So, especially with COVID going on, everybody should be eating fruits and vegetables. I got to give you all my little nursing tips, and I just think of it in terms of the rainbow. You got red, those are going to be red and purple. Those are going to be the things with lots of antioxidants. orange. So just think of the rainbow. So as long as you're eating fruits and vegetables, you know, within those rainbow colors, red, orange, you know, yellow, green, purple, then you'll be doing pretty good and you won't even need to take a vitamin. But, you know, if you don't feel like you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, then yeah, definitely take a vitamin. But you don't have to take a vitamin unless vitamins are supplements. That means that you're not meeting the minimum amount of you know, that nutrition. So that's very important, you know. And then just in terms of mindset, just, you know, who you're surrounding yourself with, like Christy talked about earlier, you know, just those positive thoughts, you know, whenever some type of negative thought comes into your mind, just cast it out immediately, because it'll just totally change your whole day if you stay focused in, you know, that gloom and doom and you know, misery. You really don't want to have those type of thoughts in your head. And then, you know, activity. Gyms and everything are open now. I haven't been to any yet, so I don't know what that's going to be like with wearing the mask, but, you know, get outside. It's nice. The weather's still good, you know. Just make sure you get some activity in your day, because our bodies are a temple. Everything starts with our body. If our bodies aren't right, then, like I said, we can't even go to work every day. We can't even do anything. So, like, first and foremost, spiritually, physically, and mentally, I always tell everybody, do that assessment first. Figure out, you know, where you are spiritually in your life too, because everything, I feel like everything happens is deliberately. It's supposed to happen. Like, everything is already planned. So basically, there's no such thing as the luck and chance system. So if you not trying to I'm not trying to get too deep here or anything, but just assess yourself spiritually. So, you know, whoever you worship, for your higher power, because you need some type of source of faith in your life. And that's just how it was for me when I was in my situation with my car. I'm just going like, oh my gosh, because just hearing these different people not approve me, I'm going like, oh my gosh. But, you know, I just had to keep turning to my faith. And then I had to keep, you know, just thinking, replacing all the negative with the positive. And then next thing I know, you know, I got my car. So let's see what you guys are putting.
And I'm gonna jump in too, because I want to know, like, what took you from being an RN? So a lot of people have full-time careers, and they do well in their full-time career. Being a registered nurse is a great full-time career to have. And like, the thought of going into entrepreneurship, obviously there's goals that have to be set. So it's like, we've got to think about long-term. So there's short-term goals, like you said, like, I got to get a car. But when you decided that, hey, I'm going to go from being an RN to actually now being an entrepreneur, like, what was that like? Or, you know, what was the process like for people? Because that's what, like, most of these ladies on here, they're either entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, whether it's in home-based businesses or they have brick and mortar. Some of them made multiple six figures in their business, and they're like, how do you take it to that next level? Like, how did you go from saying, I'm going in here and working this 12-hour shift, to then saying, actually, I want to start my own massage company. Actually, I want to just have a t-shirt company too. Like, what did that look like?
Well, actually, I was in leadership. I've been in leadership more than I've been at the bedside, and leadership is a very stressful position. You know, you always have these demands. You always have, everything is basically a numbers game. You know, productivity. You know, you have to have this certain set amount of volume on your patient units. I was a manager. I was also a house supervisor. I had several different positions, but they had started to lay off a lot of people in leadership and management. And I saw the writing on the wall. So I already was a massage therapist. I started going to massage school while I was working as a nurse. I would go in the evening. So I would work like I was supposed to be 9 to 5, but I would sneak out a couple hours earlier since I was in leadership. So I was leaving out like around 3:30 and then getting to my class and going to evening class from 5 to 10 to massage school. So fast forward through all of that, I was doing both. I graduated massage school, and I was also working as a nurse throughout the day, and then massage therapist, with my own clients. I was basically going to people's home. And then I finally, it was just, my business was booming, like word of mouth, just promoting. And I was getting so many calls for massage, and I couldn't do all of that. So that was like my breaking point. I was like, okay, I see the writing on the wall, when is it going to be my turn to, get walked up out of here? So I just basically, I really don't share this story because I wouldn't advise this, but I literally just typed out my resignation, and just, it was like, I think I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I just typed it. And then, I emailed it to HR, and then I was just gone. Because at that point, it was just so much going on. I knew I was just ready to quit. So I kind of abruptly left. So I wouldn't recommend anybody doing that. But that is what I did. And I just really took a leap of faith. So that's what I did. I took a leap of faith. I just quit. And then I just said, okay, I'm just going to go full force, with my massage business. So I, used some of my money that I had as a nurse, and then I used that to, lease out space. And so that's how I did it. So there wasn't really any goal setting, with that transition, because I was just fed up. There was so much expectations for me as a, leader at the hospital, and a lot going on, a lot of people laying off and stuff. So that's how that happened. But in terms of my business and making my business plan, all of that stuff is solid, because, I was coming, I had everything literally planned to a T, all of the equipment I needed to buy, just in terms of my savings plan and, my marketing plan. So all of those things was, solid. And, as I was just giving you the strategy earlier, those different steps, assessment might make your goals, your short and long-term goals, and your interventions in terms of, how you're going to meet those goals, and then come back and evaluate, because sometimes you may have to, tweak your goal a little bit, or come up with new goals, or tweak that goal. So it's just that same process over and over. Every time something comes up, okay, let's just make an assessment of the situation and figure out how we're gonna, what do we need to get from A to B? So that type of.
Right, for sure. And I mean, there's a couple of things that I will pull from this. Like, number one, it's, if you're looking at setting goals to get stuff done, it's assessing where you're at and where you're trying to go. It's coming up with short-term and long-term goals, and, seeking help. I think that for those ladies that are on here that have attained any level of success, what happens is your ego gets in the way, and so you don't want to ask people for help. You don't want to tell people where you are, and because of how social media is, like, it's a highlight reel. So you just see everything great about somebody that you don't know what they're truly going through, right? So asking for help, and then being inventive, coming up with different ways to make money. Ladies, like, if you don't have a side hustle in 2020, you are so far behind the ball. I realized that 8 years ago, I was already making 6 figures. I've been making 6 figures since my early 20s. Like, I was never, like, I didn't have to go through stuff. I work with athletes. But what I realized was that if your income is based on you being there, then it's nothing. Because at any given point in time, what Christy talked about, your health is not always within your control. Like, you think it is, but anything could happen. You get in a car accident, it's not within your control. And so it's so important that you're inventive, like, that's what I think that during this pandemic, this is a great time for people to become more inventive, figure out what your skill sets are. It's actually something I'll be talking about on Thursday on a call, like understanding that you have different skill sets and people pay money for stuff. So utilizing the different skill sets that you have, the passions that you have, and being inventive and being vulnerable. Letting people know, like, I'm not in a good spot. Like, I'm usually in a good spot. Right now, girl is struggling, right?
Right.
Being vulnerable, because how can somebody help you when they don't know that you need the help? Like, those are huge keys for us to always think about. And then last but not least, I'll say this. I asked you about your transition from a full-time employee to then being an entrepreneur. People think that you have to stop doing whatever you're doing right away to go start a business, where when I started my business, I saved money for 2 years before I left my career. So I saved money. So I was like, listen, if worse come to worse, like, at least I have a backup. And it's, you do both. ladies that are on here, like, we're the best at multitasking. They say if there's ever anything that you want to get done, you give it to the busiest person that you know. That's why they're always successful, because they know how to multitask better than anybody else. And so it's just grabbing those things, understanding those things, and just having like a plan. I mean, they tell you, and I'm not a like crazy planner, like when it comes to like my trips, I'm last minute, right? But I've learned that if you do not plan certain things out in your life, you'll fail because of it. Because you're just accepting whatever comes instead of saying there are certain things that I can control. It's like your day. Like, just imagine waking up and never having a plan for the day. Ladies, raise your hand if you've ever woke up and you're like you didn't do your to-do list. Like, what does that feel like? You feel like, and I mean, you can only have 5 things that are supposed to go on that to-do list, but because you're so used to planning stuff out, like, you don't have nothing planned, you feel like nothing gets done. I've had weeks like that where I'm like, okay, girl, write in your book, plan your stuff out, because nothing is going to get accomplished otherwise, you know? And so those were great tips that we got. Nurse Charms, we're definitely excited to be able to stay connected. Let us all know how we can be connected with you as we go into our next segment. Ladies, just know that she's been able to utilize her network to grow her business nonstop. She said it. She was like, word of mouth did everything. It's not like she had a bunch of money to like go put into advertising when she started her massage company. It was word of mouth. And so being true to who you are and doing what you said you're going to do is what will allow word of mouth businesses to grow. And most of us are in a place where that's important for us, you know? And so yes, I just want to thank you so much for hopping on, love. We so definitely appreciate you. Every Sunday we are back. So any ladies that you know that need to be inspired and pushed to be better in business, send them over here. And ladies, let Nurse Charms know the love you have for her. And if you can put in the chat how everybody can stay connected, that would be amazing.
It's easy. It's Nurse Charms on all platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Nurse Charms. But I'll put it in the chat.
Awesome. And it looks like a young lady on here came and got a massage from you. Patrice Denise said, I heard of Nurse Charms from Facebook. Me and the hubby went and got couples massage, and it was great. So awesome,
thank you for that testimony. Thank you.
Awesome. So guys, you know, my favorite part of the day is my grateful time, where I like to ask for everybody to write down 5 things that you're grateful for, like not now, but right now, like right this second, like, I mean, right now. And it could be anything. I don't care how little or how small it is, but Christy spoke about it. It's, you know, we've got to be present in the moment and be grateful for those moments. It's imperative that we're like that in our lives. And so I'm going to write my 5 gratefuls, and I'll call on 2 people to like tell us their 5 gratefuls. That way we'll be able to get through this bad boy. So let me write mine out.
This is Angie. Can I say my grateful?
Yes, girl.
To head it down.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm so grateful because air quality in the San Francisco Bay Area has been very unhealthy. And so I'm so grateful that today was unhealthy, not very unhealthy. So I've been missing my runs for a couple of days because they're very unhealthy. So I'm so grateful that it went down today, put my legit mask on, I went out. And so I'm just grateful for that.
Wow, that's awesome. So, girl, what is it like out there right now? Is it like, do you see smoke? Like, what is it like?
You still see and smell. It's not orange sky anymore, but you still see and smell.
Wow. So you were seeing an orange sky?
Yes.
Holy moly.
I got back from the dream trip Monday at midnight. Tuesday, the entire sky was orange all the way to the evening. So
wow, that is that's different. And you know what, you just made me thankful, because I always am talking about how like the weather in Detroit is special, but we've had like, you know, pretty decent weather, and I'm like, God, we've never had to deal with that. Like the thought of forest fires like ravaging cities, we don't worry about that in Michigan. It might be
Christy's
cold.
showing it.
Say it again.
Christy's showing it.
Okay,
Christy's showing it.
Say something, Christy. You gotta unmute yourself so we could see it. and it'll be on the main screen.
This is San Francisco.
Yep.
Can you guys see how orange it is?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And people had to wear masks in their house.
Hello. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I know, so scary.
Oh,
glad
that
you're
just
here,
gave me
Angie.
something else to be grateful for, man. If anybody else wants to unmute themselves really quickly and say their 5 gratefuls, I'm writing my last 2 down.
Hi everyone, I'm Patrice, and I
What's
am
up,
just
girl?
grateful to be able to walk and have a early brunch with the hubby. I'm grateful that I'm able to live in a city of Detroit, that great comeback city, and see the water and see Canada from the other side. I'm grateful for the opportunity to make passive income. It hasn't come yet, but it's coming. I know my passive income is coming. I'm grateful to be healed from fibroid tumor. Then I have to go get surgery to get, the old surgery. I still have everything I have to produce eggs. If I want to have children, like I didn't have a hysterectomy, I want to say that. And I'm just grateful to be alive, to be able to talk and be here during this pandemic. A lot of people aren't here, didn't make it, and to be able to save money and pay off my car and pay off my credit card. So I'm grateful for those things.
Well, give us like 10 more. Go ahead and give us that 10 more. She's like, I got 7, 8, no, girl. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'm sorry. I'm just grateful.
No, that's great. We need that, girl. Like everybody likes to hear what people are grateful for because sometimes it reminds you. I'm grateful for leftovers because I went out to eat and I went to a steakhouse and I'm vegan. So in the steakhouse, it was, I know. But I had a good potato and broccoli and spinach, and it was so much that I got to have it today as leftovers. So I'm grateful for leftovers. That's one of my things. I'm grateful for this community. Brunch with Beauties has been so impactful. It's forced me to grow in ways I would have never imagined, from speaking skills to connecting skills to, it's grown platforms for me that I wasn't even prepared to grow. That's pretty cool. Plus, it's just this sense of community is something that people don't get all the time. These are people from all different parts of life, different walks of life. Clean air. Thank you so much, Angie, for making me, for real. Like that's not going to be the number one thing I would think about. And so I'm so grateful to walk outside and know that, number one, in my house, I don't have to wear a mask. And when I walk outside, if it's just me, I don't need to wear a mask. The health of my family and my friends, that is everything. And, I know Nurse Charms talked about living a well life, which is something that is on the top of my priority list. That's how I live my life every single day, is to live a well life. So definitely thankful for that. And it's funny that you say, Patrice, you said passive income, because passive income, I have a multiple 6-figure passive income at this point. And during this pandemic, when most people were going through things, I didn't flinch. It still allowed me to know that I just came home, which is exciting. So I just came home. I just redid the siding on my mom's house. I got to drive the car that I got her. So I got my mom a new car, an Infinity truck or something. Like, I don't care about cars, but I was able to drive her car. So y'all, that was nice to get. And I realized that as much as my mom was fighting for that car, do you know this woman, she's probably had it for like 5, 6, maybe even 7 months. She might have driven it twice. So I paid off her other car, it's still at the house, and she's only driven it twice. But I'm so grateful to give her all of that while she's alive. Like so many people have to live a shoulda, woulda, coulda life. And I'm so grateful that, my passive income has surpassed what I would have ever imagined to be able to do those things. And so those are my gratefuls. And we're going to go on to this next speaker, who I'm definitely excited to hear her talk about some of the different things that she's done. So this young lady is, let me make sure I've even made her as there we go. I'm definitely excited to have her speaking on this topic. She hasn't spoken on this topic before, but she's in the wellness industry, and we've had her speak with us multiple different times about different things. We got to learn how to breathe through her, which we all realize, like, we don't know how to breathe, which is weird, but we really don't. Like, none of us breathe the way that we're supposed to on an everyday basis. And so we've learned how to breathe through her. We've learned some yoga poses through her. We've learned about living a healthier lifestyle through her. And she's going to talk to us today about overcoming trauma. And so she's a wellness advocate through and through. You know, she's also in the fitness industry, so she has her own fitness company. She's also a residual earner, so she does have passive income coming into her household, has created different publications for living a plant-based lifestyle. So she's overqualified to really talk to us, but she's also gone through some ish in her life. And when I say ish, I'm not playing, right? And so I'm excited to have her come and give another side of her that we have not seen before. And so without further ado, I'm excited to bring on this queen boss, this young lady that is now a sister to me. Samina, I'm excited to be able to like hug in person when we're finally allowed to be around. And so without further ado, I'll introduce you to Miss Kina Hodges.
Thank you so much for your introductions. I swear, I'm just like, who's she talking about? I'm not overqualified. I just love being able to share. And I'm just gonna introduce my dog, this is Nala, everybody. She's back from training. And I'm gonna put her down. So one of the 5 things I was gonna mention that I'm grateful for is that I sent my dog away to a doggy boot camp. So I actually I rescued a dog during this pandemic. And they said she was going to be a huge project, and she was all of that and more. But I realized where, you know, like my scope of work, like where I'm good and where I'm not, and I'm not a dog trainer. And so I wanted her to have the best experience, and I wanted us to have a good one as well. So I sent her away for 3 weeks to like a doggy boot camp. So I'm happy that she's like Nala 2.0. It's like this new and improved version of herself. But you may hear her while I'm talking today, just as an FYI. But and there she is again. All right, down. Okay, so I'm not hurting my dog. That's just part of the training, guys. All right, okay. I promise. All right, so, but thank you so much again for allowing me to be a part of this. I love being able to share. I've been on here several times, and you guys know that I always say that when you heal yourself, you heal the collective. And this is me doing my part in healing the collective. So, or helping the collective heal, or creating the space for you to be able to heal yourself, because the healing process, the healing journey really is an individual process. This is why I'm in the kitchen. I came to the kitchen so she'd leave me alone.
He's like, bump that training that they gave me. I'm ready to live my whole life, Mom. I'm here. That's what she's saying right now. I understand now. I would do the same thing.
Hey.
She missed you.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Missed you.
Sorry. Okay. All right. So what I wanted, I'm doing a continuation of what I did 2 weeks ago, where we were talking about our shadow self, right? And this is going to be a challenge. Hold 1 second, guys. I apologize.
You know what we could do too is we can see if our next speaker can hop on, and then if she's free, and then you can do what you gotta do. She's like, let me go get it together. Let's see. I know this young lady is here. Our next speaker, if you're good, put it in the chat. That way I'll know. We'll
okay, I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, do your thing.
Okay. So I apologize, guys. Thanks so much for your patience. But so we had started talking about our shadow side and just kind of working through what that meant, like doing the shadow work. And I shared, I've been through a lot. Hadiatu is right. I've gone through a whole lot, and we would never have enough time to cover half of the things that I've been through. But, you know, I will say that I started this journey coming out of an abusive relationship with my son's father. And so this was 2004. And I found myself, I had been in that relationship for 2 years. We were engaged, and I didn't think it was gonna work. But, you know, I was in it for a couple of reasons. One, I felt like I was missionary dating. I felt like my love was enough. My love could change him. And I mean, how often do we do that? Do we put ourselves in situations that we know are toxic and are not good for us? But we think that by exposing people to something they haven't been exposed to, if we just love them enough, if we do these things, you know, that's gonna change. And it didn't change. And what ended up happening, the last altercation that we had, he tried to kill me for not wanting to have an abortion. And so I found myself kicked down the stairs, punched in the stomach, kicked in the stomach. He had Timberlands on, he was 6'4". This endured for about an hour. And he lit my shirt on fire. He pulled my hair out my head. He had choked me. And all I remember saying in that moment was like, dear God, if you just let me get through this, I promise I'm not coming back. Like, I swear on everything. Like, let me just protect me and protect this unborn child that I have. And I'm done. And I promise you I'm done. And so he did. And like I said, I won't go into all the full details of that. But at the time, I didn't leave because I was strong enough for me. I left because I didn't want to bring a child into that situation. I couldn't even see myself. All I saw was, I have a baby that I don't want around this. And so I'm sharing that with you to say that sometimes your healing starts not because you've taken the time to identify that you need to actually get stuff done, but because there's something greater. There's something bigger than you. And, you know, I'm very spiritual, not really religious, but I did grow up in the church. And I remember speaking in front of my church one time, talking about the covenant that God made with Abraham, and how he said that generations of Abraham's family would be blessed, not because they were faithful, right? But because Abraham was faithful, because Abraham did the work. And so sometimes, most of the time, the blessings that you have in your life are because somebody else did some work. Somebody else was faithful, somebody did something, and you have been a beneficiary of that. But sometimes you're the person that actually has to break the cycle. And in my family, I'm the one that had to break the cycle. So my son's father was in the music industry. He was a hoe, and he was abusive, okay? All right, and I'm just gonna say it what it is, all right? My daddy was not in the music industry, but he was an athlete. He was a hoe, and he was abusive in a different kind of way. He wasn't physically abusive to my mom, but he was abusive to her in a different kind of way. My grandfather, my mother's father, was in the music industry, big time hoe, and was physically abusive to my grandmother to where it left her paralyzed at the age of 19. She is now 77. So imagine not being able to be the one to break a cycle to where over 60 years of your life, you have been paralyzed and unable to care for yourself because of a situation that you didn't choose to heal, didn't know how to heal, didn't have the resources, didn't have the support. So that's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do. It's not just about the food that you eat. It's not just about working out. It's not just about your spiritual walk, your religious walk, your faith walk. It's not just about those things. It's not just about your mindset. It's about all of it. And if you're gonna love yourself, you gotta start dealing with all of it. You can't just love yourself in one area and ignore all the other shit that's uncomfortable, okay? So the shit that's uncomfortable is what we're talking about. That's that shadow work, and that's what we're gonna kind of talk about today. And I apologize because last time I was on, I was supposed to send you your homework so that you would be ready for this conversation today. And I did not do that for a couple of reasons, but I do have all of your email addresses. If you did not give me your email address the last time, I would drop the link for you to do that, because I actually created a little e-guide for you guys. It's no longer just a little quick worksheet. It's a little bit more thorough. And then you all will get a whole bunch of extra free resources on my website that launches tomorrow. So thank you, Brunch of Beauties, because you guys are absolutely amazing. And I wanted to bless you all the way I've been blessed just by being on here. So let's talk about shadow work, right? And this is a really big concept that I'm condensing into like 10 minutes, right? So don't feel like you have to take a lot of notes, because again, if I get your email address, you're gonna get this whole guide and you're gonna be able to work through it. And I'm gonna challenge you that you spend time with this. This is not easy work. It was not easy for me to look myself in the mirror and see welts on my neck, to see a blackened eye, to see an eye swollen, a busted lip, to know I had a concussion, to have a patch of hair missing from the back of my head, to see my shirt on fire. What was even worse was that when I pulled up to my mom's house, she had to look at me like that. And now that I'm a mom, I understand what that felt like, you know, to know that you can't protect your child from something. So again, healing myself now is teaching my son healthy behaviors in relationships, healthy behaviors just as an adult, because what I don't want him to be is his father, right? You know, all I can do is instill these things in him, and he's going to make whatever choices that he wants. But I made a decision that the buck stopped with me. And so one day you're going to have to wake up and decide that the buck starts and stops with you, that you no longer want to settle for the life that you have. Maybe you're realizing that you want to level up and you felt stuck. You've been unable to get to that next level in life. Well, here's the plot twist. You got to be a part of your own rescue. You can't just, I'm gonna just say a prayer and I'm just leave it over here and wait for it to come like manna from heaven and fall into my lap. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to, faith without works is dead. You got to do some work. And sometimes this work, most of the time, it's actually really challenging. It's really hard. It's going to have you cry. It's going to have, you have to sit there and you have to face yourself. You have to be willing to have those difficult, what I call mirror conversations. And I said it last time, I'll say it again. You want to get a soul squad. You got to have a soul squad, okay? Your soul squad are folks that are going to tell it to you straight. Not folks that are going to amen your mess, but the folks that be like, you know what, I love you, but that was foul, you know? Or, hey, I love you, but maybe you should talk to a professional. Like, not in a condescending way, but, you know, therapy is a good thing, you know? BetterHelp is a free app, you know? Like, there are resources out there that you can have. You know, I have a friend who challenges me all the time, and he says, like, hey, he's like, hey, Deborah, and he knows that that's like a reset for me because my mom suffers from borderline personality disorder. So there's some behaviors that manifest itself when she's triggered. And because of that, I recognize that I don't want to be that, and I'm like hypersensitive to that, but I still have the potential to still act out those behaviors, right? So in a moment where I'm maybe even unconsciously or, you know, just having a conversation, he'd be like, hey, Deborah, that was kind of manipulative. Because I'd be like, oh, you didn't give me my hug today. And he was like, if you want a hug, just come up and get one. Why do why do you have to sit there and then you get an attitude that I didn't hug you? If you wanted a hug, just come get it. You know, and it's just learning or relearning these types of behaviors. So, so that's a little bit of my backstory of why I'm so passionate about this stuff. Because again, you heal yourself, you heal the collective, and as a holistic lifestyle coach, it's my passion to create the space to give you the tools to help you embark upon a journey and know that you don't walk the journey alone. You have somebody, one, that's been through it, been through a lot of stuff, right? That can tell you, here's how it goes, right? But also that can be compassionate when you can't find compassion for yourself. That can help you extend grace when you can't find a way to be gracious to yourself. Because let's be honest, Christy talked about it earlier, you know, we have that negative self-talk. We do. And that negative self-talk actually originates from this shadow side. So your shadow side or shadow self are elements of your unconscious personality, right? And they're usually the least desirable elements that society rejects or judges as bad. So like when you're born, you're like a child with a blank canvas, okay? And how you become socialized is based on how you're parented, what religion you're taught, what your friends do, you know, what society is telling you, this is what you need to do, this is right, this is wrong, believe this, don't believe that, support this, don't support that. And then what ends up happening is that you start suppressing parts of your personality because it is a human desire, a human function to be connected, right? So if you're not connected because you have these traits in your personality that other people find undesirable, it's almost like death. You know, you're by yourself, and we thrive with human connection. Just a hug, a 20-second hug can actually change your entire mood. So if someone is telling you that, nah, something's wrong with you, or no, that's wrong, or you shouldn't pick your nose, and me personally, I don't think you should, but maybe you do, but you do it in private, like whatever that is, right? You know, but you're learning behaviors and you're being conditioned. And that conditioning is actually what attributes to your shadow self. So some examples look like pain, fear, jealousy, insecurity, lack of control, mediocrity, laziness, depression, victimhood, brokenness, negativity, unserving or limited beliefs, being stuck, giving up, sadness, loneliness, vengeance, selfishness, all right? And the thing about it is that although your shadows may actually seem ugly or undesirable to you, they're actually they're an integral part of who you are, right? So if you think about it, the Chinese symbol, the yin and yang, right? It's a circle, and then there's an even split, and there's light on dark, and then there's dark on light, okay? And so it is literally opposite forces that are, contrary to each other, but they're interconnected. So you can't have one without the other. You can't have lightness without darkness. You can't have good without bad, right? So these things actually have to they're always in play with each other, but they always need to be in balance. And what the reality is that the majority of us are unbalanced, all right? And so doing the shadow work is what helps you come into balance. And when you're not doing the shadow work, you're actually denying your true self. So participating in your own rescue looks like being honest with yourself. Like, you have to start there, right? Because if you're not, you're basically portraying a one-sided image of goodness, right? And it's a fragmentation, and it's inauthentic, and quite frankly, it's exhausting, and it's unsustainable. At some point you break, right? And, I'm very open and transparent about my personal situation. So, I'll say this right now. My mom and she's not speaking to me right now because she was triggered by family coming to visit me this last week, right? So I have 3 sisters and a brother. We all have the same dad. They all have the same mom, right? So they're my sisters, my brother, not her kids, okay? It's just me with her. My sister came to visit. My stepdad came to visit, which is my mom's ex-husband, and my biological dad came to visit. Everybody was here the same weekend, almost at the same exact time, right? This is crazy. and I had just gotten back from Mexico. Now, I haven't seen my mom since the end of February. Not because I didn't want to, but because she has, health issues that put her in that at-risk population with, coronavirus. And I respect the fact that she is very anxious about that. She's very scared. She doesn't want to leave the house. She goes to church. That's it. Like, she just does her work at the church and she comes back home. But she's very concerned and anxious that I may be asymptomatic. So me trying to show compassion in that space is like, hey, we can have FaceTimes, we can do house parties, we can Zoom. But what I don't want to do is contribute to your anxiety by coming to visit. I'm not driving 8 hours to Maryland and you not open the door, right? That would hurt. And, but that's also me saying it's not my fault either. So I don't have the same concerns because I made a decision to take care of myself, my body, my health in a way that my mom has not. So I don't have those same concerns, but that's not something that I'm going to internalize because it's an issue for you. And so when you start to do your shadow work, you're able to have that kind of conversation with somebody in a compassionate way. Whether they receive it or not, it's not really your issue. You're just able to say, hey, listen, I understand what you're saying. People come to visit me. I've never told you that you couldn't come visit me. You're welcome to come visit at any point in time. But I have a dog. You all have met her now, right? And I travel. I just went out the country. My son is now in school 2 days a week. He's playing basketball. We are around people. We're going to be exposed to whatever is in the air, okay? Now, I'm taking the proper precautions that I feel are important and necessary in my household, but I can't tell you what to do in yours, right? So anyway, because there's work that she hasn't done, she's easily triggered. And so when you don't do the shadow work, you can find offense in everything that somebody says or does, and 99.99% of the time it has absolutely nothing to do with you. All right, so we're going to talk about the 5 ways to, because I've realized I'm just yipping and yapping, so let me push through this. So there's 5 steps of the healing process, right? The first one is identify. The second is accept. The third is love. The fourth is embody. The 5th is integrate. Right now, the first 3, identify, accept, and love, they have to be completed in one setting. Okay, so you can't like identify today and then next week decide that you want to accept what you identified, and then like 2 years from now decide that you want to love those things that came up for you. Okay, like it has to happen in one setting. So it's important that when you decide to embark upon this journey, that you are actually creating time and space for yourself to sit and really go there. All right, this is the conversation where you have to go there, and you go alone. All right, you have to go alone. So when you're identifying, you want to watch for emotional reactions such as irritation, disgust, anger, fear, sadness. Watch for your body reactions. Where do you heat up? Do you start shaking? Do you get chills? Do you find pain? Do you sweat? So for example, when I'm having conversations sometimes with my mom that I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to go there, my stomach will start to knot up. Like I'll feel it in my stomach. And for me, I know, all right, I need to bring it down, because I don't want to get upset. I don't want to go there. But you can feel tension in your body. So you want to pay attention to these bodily cues as you start working through things. You want to watch for psychological projections of your shadow. Okay, so for example, traits that you see in others, right? So traits in others that trigger your reactions are mirrors to your unconscious shadows. So the things that you can quickly see in somebody else are mirrors to your unconscious shadows. Now, that's not to say that that is exactly your shadow, but you have the potential for that to be your shadow. So like I said, I'm very conscientious of the fact of what I grew up under, you know, and so I'm very conscientious to watch how I speak to people. I choose my words very carefully because I don't want to come across as being manipulative. I don't want to be received as narcissistic, but I also know that I'm not those things. So I don't give a lot of, at this point in my life, I don't give a lot of that, because people that know me, like, no, Keena's energy is not that whatsoever. But if people are hell-bent on misunderstanding who I truly am, I'm okay with that too. Why? Because I already did the work. All right. So these are journaling exercises. And again, I'm going to give all of this to you guys, I promise. But when you are journaling, you just want to write. Okay. And it's a stream of consciousness kind of writing. So you don't want to censor your writing. You don't want to judge. You don't want to edit. You don't want to, you know, go back, right? You just write until you can no longer write. You might even find that you've written a book, right? Or you will birth a book from what you're writing, I promise, okay? And once you can no longer write, you'll find two things. You'll find that you've made a list of undesirable traits, right? And then you find that from those traits, you have this, they're like rabbit holes that you can go down if you interview yourself. So for example, something comes up for you and then you want to interview yourself. Why am I feeling that, right? What am I feeling? Why this? Why that? Notice the key word, why? So here's how a conversation with yourself can go. What am I afraid of? Trying. What is it that scares you about trying? Failing. Or, you know, being higher, right? Being elevated higher rather than failing. Because sometimes people don't want to try because they don't want the responsibility that comes with actually that promotion, okay? So you be one of those. And then you can say, well, why does failing scare you? And then you say, oh, because it'll hurt, or I'll be embarrassed, or whatever. And then ask yourself, does it hurt now? Yes. Well, it's going to hurt either way. Well, if it hurts either way, like literally you're talking to yourself, well, if it's going to hurt either way, then it's going to hurt for sure. Why don't you try? And then you can do something about the hurt. The worst thing that can happen is you end up right where you already are, which is in pain. That's just a conversation that you can have with yourself. But you want to keep writing all of these undesirable traits. All right, so that's identified. And then you want to accept. So you got to process this whole thing. Okay, so it goes without saying that this process is going to uncover like a spectrum of emotions. And every single emotion that you feel when you're going through this process is totally, it's accurate. It's honest, it's true, it's authentic, it's supposed to happen. So don't judge yourself, don't talk down to yourself, but this is where you allow yourself the time to cry, to judge, to feel these discoveries, okay? And it's uncomfortable, but I encourage you to take your time in this accepted space, right? You wanna write down positive aspects to your shadow traits, okay? So for example, I'm shaking, all right? So you might start writing, and then you notice that you're shaking as you're writing, okay? Well, that's a sign that you're identifying and processing trauma and shadows. That's a good thing, right? So accept the shake, because it means that you started the journey, right? I'm a flawed and broken person. Well, you're stronger as a result of that. So you can continue to overcome, right? And when you change your mindset, you literally can rewire your entire body, right? Or I'm anxious. This is a good sign of what to work on and a signal to return to the present. So anxiety comes from worrying about stuff that hasn't even occurred. Depression comes from staying stuck on stuff that's already happened. And the reality is that none of those two things are real. The only thing that's real is this present moment. What I just said 5 minutes ago, yeah, I said it, but we're no longer living in that moment. It's no longer real. And so when you start to find yourself becoming anxious about things, bring yourself back to the present moment. Maybe 5 things that you can see, right? 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, right? 1 thing that you can taste. It's just a way for you to, kind of come right back into the present moment, right? But you want to see the purpose of the darkness, because again, without light, there's no darkness. Without darkness, there's no light. So they both serve a purpose for your life. And then you have to learn to love. So you got to learn to love your shadows. You got to just accept it, right? And you got to learn how to love it. Now, this love part has to happen in the same day that you do the love and acceptance. Because if you don't, then you're just wide open and raw and highly triggered. And this is where a lot of people stumble in this step, and then they end up kind of feeling re-triggered and never actually complete the work, right? So you want to make sure that you bring love, understanding, and compassion to your shadow traits. And I highly recommend that you do a meditation, a meditation. Meta just means it's Sanskrit for love and kindness, but something where you're speaking love and positive affirmations to yourself, right? And again, I'm doing very, very high level because I see my time. After love, you want to embody your shadow. So this is where you go about life accepting these traits, right? You realize the purpose that they bring to your life, and you love them anyway, right? So leverage them to continually improve yourself. Realize the distinction between identifying your shadows and identifying with your shadows. So there's a difference in saying, this is my shadow, versus I am my shadow, okay? So you are not your shadow. You are not those desirable traits, right? They're just like visitors. And you have to start thinking of them as that way. They're just visitors, okay? The you is the awareness, the consciousness that they exist, but you don't have to, it's like, okay, we all have the capability of being manipulative, but I don't go around saying I am manipulative. I can say, yeah, I try to manipulate him into giving me a hug, but that doesn't make me a manipulative person. That just means that in that moment, I need to own that that's what I did. And how I reframe that, right, how I reparent myself, is that I just learn how to ask for what I want. I don't have to trick somebody to give me what I want. So the inner child work comes in here, right? Like I have to learn to open my mouth and speak for what I want, and then I will either get it or I don't. And then I got to deal with that emotion, right? And then once you embody your shadows, then you start to integrate it into your life. This is where you learn to love all of you, right? All of you, right? The stuff, like I said, the stuff that smells, the stuff that doesn't, the stuff you love, the stuff you don't. This is where you get to see that the coal, you got to own the coal, right? Because diamonds come from pressing the coal, right? So if you don't get to the diamond status until you do the work with the coal. And you can see the gold hidden in the anger, right? The contrast for growth and seeds of improvement. Let's see, I want you to allow yourself to be yourself. We spend so much time putting on for everybody else. It's time for you to put on for yourself. Take off the mask. So my brand is called Unmasked, and it's about being authentic in everything that we do, in every aspect of a modality that I offer, being 100% true and authentic in that space. And so doing this shadow work, again, it's brutal. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's rainbows and when people are like, oh, love and light. No, it ain't love and light. I'm just gonna be honest with you, this is not that, right? It gets to that point, but it doesn't start there. But it's just, you give yourself a sigh of relief because you're healing, right? And then you begin to just look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I love that, you know? All right, so I'm a little overweight. Guess what? Okay, that's a choice. Right? That's a choice. I'm gonna make a different choice. And so that's all this is about. And then all I will say to you is that congratulations, brave soul, because you are getting ready to embark upon this journey. So that's it.
I love it, Kina. I want to make sure I do this. Identify, accept, love, embody, and what's the last one?
Integrate.
Integrate. Okay. And I know you'll put the link in there for everybody so that they're able to go ahead and get their copy, and you'll get a deeper version of it. But what's so important is that you know, this call is for that, for you to start doing the work. Like, I didn't know what it was when I first started, but now that I fully understand like God's mission with me as well as with this call is to help people grow, and it's going to take time for you to grow. You're not going to do well at it at first. Like, it's going to be super uncomfortable, but that's an entrepreneurship journey. You know, we are so good at putting on and doing things for other people, but we don't take the time to do it for ourselves. And that's what makes you broken. And I'm not going to pretend like perfect in my life, but what I will tell you is that I've worked really hard to keep myself in a certain type of place. And if you've known me for years, which, you know, my cousin's on here, and my husband's cousin's on here too, so my cousin also, and I've done the work on a continuous basis, but some people don't know where to start the work, right? So it's like, if you don't know where to start, I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying, like, now you have a start. And they tell you when you know better, you do better, but you got to make those choices, and they're hard and uncomfortable choices. It's Sunday in Michigan. It's beautiful and pretty outside. We could be anywhere else doing anything else, but it's that you consistently plug in. And those are traits for you to be successful in life and in relationships. If you go back and look at all of your consistent relationships, if they're consistently unhealthy, there's work that wasn't done within you, because you're consistently attracting certain type of people into your life. And that's real, man. You're attracting people without even realizing that's what you're doing. But you've got to just take this time to do the work. And so take this as a resource for it, guys. Like, you know, Kina gave us tons of nuggets that we can start saying, and maybe you're not ready, right? Like, and that's okay. Maybe you're like, look, I ain't ready for that right now. Like, I remember when I was, like, I switched and went to being a vegan, like right away when I found out I was sick. And then I kind of was like, okay, let me do the pescatarian thing, because this vegan thing, I don't know if I really want to stay there. And so I did that for a little bit. And I remember people telling me, they said, go watch this documentary and watch this documentary. And I was 100 with them. I go, I'm not ready for that yet. Like, acknowledge that. Acknowledge that you're like, I'm not quite ready to do that work. And I wouldn't watch a documentary because I'm like, if I watch it, I can't eat eggs. And when I say I love breakfast, like, for real, breakfast is like my life. Like, any city that I go to, I go find the best breakfast spots. Well, I'm gluten-free and I don't eat eggs. So it's like pancakes and eggs, the two things that make my soul light up. Like, I can eat that all day, every day. I had to get myself ready for it. And so if you're not ready, acknowledge that and say that. Say that. I'm not ready yet, but I know I need to work on it, because I think it's just that acknowledgement that most people won't take. And, you know, I appreciate this. Identify, accept, love, embody, integrate. Everybody need that in our lives. So Kina, thank you very much. Kina put a link that you guys can all click on, and that way she'll be able to send an email to you. And in that email, you'll have everything that you need that pertains to this subject, because we just were giving you like little nuggets here and there. And if you're like, okay, I think I'm ready, hit Kina up. She's got you all day, every day. Make sure you put your Instagram on here, Kina, so everybody has that and they are aware.
There are also on the free resources page, there are actually 6 things. So this is called Embrace Your Shadow and Find Healing, Reclaiming Your Authenticity. There are also 32 daily affirmations. There's a self-care worksheet, a daily life journal, 7 money mindset affirmations, and then a manifestation journal. So these are just free things for you guys to, you know, just start wherever you want to start. There's something there for you where you can do just that. So guys, thank you so much. And I'm going to drop my stuff in here.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And I'm laughing because Adisha wrote, I refuse to watch What the Health, and I still won't. Girl, I understand. It took me forever to watch it too. I was like, nah, I'm not ready.
Like, yeah, What the Health forks over knives. I mean, there's so many, but like you brought up a good point. It's important to be honest with where you are, right? Like I'm not there yet, right? And eggs was hard to give up because it is like a staple of breakfast. And in our lifestyle club, we have a friend, his name is Jack, and it was funny. I totally ruined breakfast for him talking about eggs, right? And he hasn't eaten eggs since then, but you find alternatives. But again, he was like, I'm gonna eat all of this but eggs. And now, you know, he's making this transition. The only thing I would say is that just because you're not ready to go down that journey, don't have the expectation that people will stay and accept you being a lesser version of yourself.
That's good.
If you're in the right circle, people are gonna want to see you vibrate higher. Like they just are. They want to, and that means a lot of people. But people want to see you win. And my circle, they want to see me level up. They're gonna challenge my thinking, and I'm like, I'm not ready yet. And they'll be like, why? Because I'm not ready yet. Now they'll respect it, but they keep moving in certain areas. And until I'm ready for that, I don't get to go there. So just know that's another part of this, is that you have to you have to be honest about where you are, but then you have to respect where other people are in their process as well. So yes.
I love it. Thank you so much, Kina. That was powerful information. Definitely stuff that all of us can implement. Again, like I'm all about being able to implement what I'm learning, because the way my ADD is set up, I'll get a lot of information and do nothing with it. And I'm so grateful that we always have a panel of people that are going to give us stuff to implement. And that goes right into our next speaker, who she is absolutely amazing. Somebody that I met through our lifestyle club, and we haven't spent a whole lot of time together. Oh yeah, Just Egg. I know, girl. Oh, that's life. By the way, show it again, because somebody might not have seen it. Say it out loud so they can see. So that is Just Egg, just so you guys know.
Yes. And they have patties now too, FYI.
They do?
Yes, they have patties that are like folded eggs that you can cook and like throw on sandwiches and biscuits and all kinds of stuff. So just, you know.
Wow. Yeah. So Just Egg is complete life. I took some of the girls on here to one of my vegan spots for breakfast because I'm obsessed with it now. But okay, so we're going to go into this next speaker. And like I said, met her through the lifestyle club, and we weren't like, you know, I'm always 100. It's not like somebody that I spend all my time with, but I hear about her on a consistent basis, and I knew her background, and I was able to see her utilize her background and bring it into the lifestyle club and really excel on a high level. And so, guys, we've had multiple people come and talk about social media, and the reason that I'm going to consistently do this is because if you don't get hip to what's going on, you get left. And I don't want anybody that is in my circle to get left. So I'm always going to bring people that I know could, you know, do a good job with this. And so she's a content creator. She's a social media manager. But on top of her doing that, she is an international speaker, and she speaks all over the world about gaining your time back. And she's literally built a side business through social media. And so I felt like there was no better person to really talk about this topic and give you insight and give you knowledge that you can implement as soon as we get off of here as to what you need to do and the things you need to think about as you're growing your social media presence. And so without further ado, I'm excited to introduce you to this queen boss. She's on the East Coast right about now. Miss Giovanna Guzman. Are you there, love?
I am. I was ready a little while ago, and when the dog was barking, you're like, you ready to come on? I was like, hey, I'm ready. Thank you so much, Hadi. You know, like you said, we haven't spent that much time together, but, you know, I value and appreciate everything that you have done and what you're doing currently. This is truly beautiful and incredibly inspiring what you guys got going on. And, you know, thank you so much to all of the ladies I've been sharing. I've been listening. I've gone on a little bit late, but I listened to, you know, Nurse Charms, and then I got on right when Kina got on as well. And man, that was some powerful stuff. Really appreciate it. So thanks again. So hello, everyone. My name is Giovanna. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, so out in the East Coast. I'm currently in New York. I don't reside out here, but my boyfriend lives out here. And so I'm out in New York now. But I had the opportunity and the pleasure of, you know, starting to go down the path of, you know, social media marketing, which is what I studied in college. I love social media marketing, and I find it to be a major resource life is going right now, especially in business. And so I have a lot of background when it comes to that. You know, like Hadi said, you know, I got into other businesses, and in our lifestyle club, have been able to create a passive income for myself and do this on my own time. However, for a while, I worked for multiple different companies. I mean, $1 million companies that were able to, you know, utilize my services in social media marketing, and, you know, work from authors in Harvard, you know, different artists, musicians, and all different kinds of people, you know, restaurants, so many different people that were interested in learning about social media. So, you know, I'm truly excited and grateful to share, you know, some of this information with all of you beautiful ladies on this amazing Sunday. So, so now that you girls know a little bit about my background, you know, we are going to talk about utilizing social media, you know, and how to attract, you know, what you want in your business through social media. And as you can see, someone said, I love your shirt. Yes, I'll go in through why I decided to wear this shirt because there was a method to the madness in terms of, yeah, I was like finishing up everything that I was doing. And, you know, my boyfriend is the one that has these t-shirts, and I call him because he's all the way downstairs, and I'm like, hey, you got to bring me the shirt really quickly, hurry up. And so there's a method to this. And so, you know, what I want to start off by saying is, you know, first and foremost, you know, before we kick off any type of practical stuff, any type of logistical things, social media is 100% not the only way, and it definitely isn't everything when it comes to our businesses, for promoting our businesses and all of that. However, it is a major important tool nowadays. If you look at the way that the world is growing and the way that things were happening, you realize that so many people, and it's why we take our lifestyle club so seriously, is because we're able to utilize the presence of online businesses, the importance of utilizing social media for online businesses, which is incredibly impactful and important. So, and the reason why I say all of that stuff is because, you know, ultimately, you know, nothing will bring you what you're looking for in your business like one-on-one human connection. I mean, there's something incredibly special about cultivating relationships with people in person outside of social media. Social media is powerful and it's a huge tool, but I find that I've had, you know, the success that I've had, and even the success within social media. It's funny, within social media, I've been able to get the clients that I've had, not through social media, but on one-on-one in-person interactions, developing relationships with them. So that's just so you guys understand, you know, it's not everything, but it's a major tool in the shed that will help you and your business grow in ways that you never imagined. So, so yeah, I'll go through, you know, social media. I'll go through some of the practical stuff, but you know, when it comes down to, you know, your social media and presence nowadays in this age, you know, it's of major importance that you utilize it and that you take advantage of it and grow in every single aspect that you possibly can. But I think that one of the things that needs to be understood, you know, first and foremost, is that social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, Snapchat, whatever social media you decide to use, I really only have a couple of minutes on here. There's so many different social media things, and sometimes I wish I could spend hours breaking every single thing down, but whichever one you use, it doesn't matter. Just remember, social media is your online identification. It's how people identify you. It's how people, you know, people are going to gather information from you just from your social media. They're going to gather information about you, about your business. People will make assumptions on your life, you know, what it is that you do, what it is that, you know, what kind of a person that you are, what kind of values you have. People are looking for that kind of stuff, and it just comes from a simple post on social media, whether that be on your feed or that be in your stories, but people are watching. That's one thing you got to know when it comes to social media. All eyes on you. All eyes on you. People are watching. I have followers on social media. I'm sorry, not followers, people that don't follow me, but they are watching my stories just to check in on me, just to see how my business is going. And that's exactly what some people will do for you as well. They just want to see, they're going to get an idea of what it is that you're up to just based off of what you post. So like I said, I won't have, you know, an incredible amount of time, but I'm going to make this as general as possible. I'm going to make this as, you know, simplified as possible so you ladies can understand. And if I ever get the chance, you know, to hop on here ever again, and I'll break down some more things in depth into social media best practices and, you know, breaking down algorithms and all this stuff that I can go through, how to utilize certain things, you know, how to target, how to attract certain people literally in your social media, you know, how to gain more followers, all that stuff. But for now, I'll just say it comes down to something very, very simple. You got to keep this in mind. Social media is a place where you create influence for yourself. You know, I throughout my journey, you know, through business, I never really used to understand the power and influence, how important it is to become an influential person. How do you become an influence? You have to become the person that people know, people trust, people like, and that people value. It is a growth process. You know, for people to value you on social media, people need to value you outside of social media. So, you know, the growth game on social media, when it comes to, you know, all these followers and having all this cool stuff on social media, that same growth game has to happen within you. It starts first in you. So seek ways that you can become as influential as you possibly can outside of social media. Seek ways to become a better leader. Seek ways, you know, to impact people, to add value to people's lives before wanting the followers on social media, before wanting people to see what it is that you do and say, I want to sign up with you, Hadi. I want to sign up with, you know, with Letha. I want to sign up with you, or I want to do business with you. Before they want to do that with you through social media, make sure that they want to do that with you in person. So, and it's funny because I'm sure, you know, I do social media stuff all the time. I have conversations like this all the time, and people are like sitting there like, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be like this practical, like social media, do X, Y, and Z type thing to attract people, you know, on social media and all this stuff. But, you know, ultimately, truth be told, at the end of the day, there is no secret method into attracting people on social media, aside from literally taking the action in all areas of your life. And, you know, that's why I love so much of what Kina was saying, because it's true. You got to take action. And so when I talk about, you know, there is a method to the madness, why I wore this shirt is because, you know, in this shirt, you can see here, the law of attraction, you know, so we scratch out attract and we put action, because there is no attraction if there is no action. There is the law of action. Whatever you do in your life, whether it's social media or not social media, there needs to be that part of action where you deliberately take action to get the followers, deliberately take action to make the sales in your business, deliberately take action, you know, to have those people in your business that want to connect with you, that want to buy from your services or your products or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, just take the proper steps. I read a book, and you guys can write this down. It was really, really good. I actually read it at the beginning of the COVID season. It's called A Million Followers by Brendan Kane. And I opened that book. I got that book. You know, I went on Amazon and I saw it on social media and I saw all this stuff. You know, he's had over 1 million followers, and I'm like ready to read this book to get the secrets of, you know, how to do social media, this and that. And mind you, I already know a lot about this, but I'm like, there has to be a shortcut, you know, like we're always looking for a shortcut one way or another. So I'm like, there has to be a shortcut in this book. Like, I'm going to find how to get 1 million followers. It's going to be awesome. Oh my God. And when I open it up, it's literally like, you have to take action. The first thing he says is, if you think this is going to be a shortcut, if you think this is going to be easy, if you think getting followers is going to be like you pay for them, or, you know, people just start following you and people just start buying from you, wrong. It comes from work. So when it comes to all that, I mean, he broke down a whole bunch of different practical stuff on there, but, you know, at the end of the day, social media and you growing on social media is going to be 100%. You growing in your business, utilizing social media is going to be 100% a reflection of what you do outside of social media, what you do outside of your business. But, you know, now that you ladies understand that, now that you ladies, you know, we're all on the same page in terms of this being, you know, an inside out game, this being all about what you do, you know, action wise, all the things that you do, you know, reflection of yourself, how you represent yourself. I'll get into some more practical stuff when it comes to social media. So one, you know, you ladies can take the time to write this stuff down. I have some notes that you can write down. So it starts off with social media being something that you understand your intention when it comes to social media. You understand your brand very well. You understand the reason why you're pursuing it. In our organization, we call it your why. You know, understand what is your why when it comes to what you're pushing, you know, whether it's the health and wellness industry, whether it's, you know, it is, you know, a lifestyle club, whether it is, you know, your clothing brand. Just understand the intention that you have behind it. What is your why? And is it that important? Is it something that you're going to pursue to an extent that everyone on social media is going to get to know you, right? Leave no room, absolutely no room for anybody to question what it is that you stand for on social media. Because when somebody follows you, trust and believe, they're contemplating whether they should buy from you from the minute they click on your social media, you know, based on, you know, the certain ways that you posting, based on the certain content that you post, based off of all that stuff. Just make sure that you leave them with no confusion, that they understand what it is you stand for, what it is that you're doing, and that they understand your intention. Number two, be willing to put hours. I mean, hours and hours on social media. It's not just going to be this thing, like I said, where you take shortcuts. Make sure that you're willing to spend hours figuring out ways to get more followers, liking people's stuff, following people, understanding the algorithms, understanding your audience, all that stuff. So, you know, number three, your audience is important. It is super important when it comes down to it. You know, people want to know that you're targeting them, you know, exactly who is your target, what is your target audience, what age are they, you know, how, you know, what it is that their interests and likes, all that stuff. So understand also the power of your representation when it comes to social media. I mean, the way that you represent yourself, the way that you speak, you know, the content that you post, all of that stuff when it comes to your business, people are looking at that. Become more aware, you know, bring yourself, you know, similar to a few people on the line, bring yourself to that center of awareness where you understand that, you know, there are going to be things that you post on social media that, you know, might not be in alignment with your brand, you know. So going back to your awareness, when it comes down to that, understand the awareness of your audience, their age, you know, their interests, all that stuff, you know. If you want to attract everybody in your business, or if you just want to attract certain individuals in your business, okay. And I'll go back to the reason why I mentioned that was because there was a gentleman from the YMCA, and he was posting some things on social media, and I'll never forget this because it was a huge no-no when it comes to social media. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you standing for what you stand for when it comes to social media, you having a voice on there, and if that's what you represent, that's what you represent. But you gotta know the two between your business and your personal. So if you have a business brand, I remember this gentleman from the YMCA, I mean, posting a whole bunch of like, you know, it was wild stuff on social media about his personal beliefs on politics, religion, and all of this stuff. And so, you know, I saw his Instagram, and it was his business Instagram, and it was really tough to see that a lot of people might not do business with you. And that's okay if you're okay with that. But a lot of people are not going to do business when you start to engage, and don't center your awareness in that. Not everybody is going to be in the same alignment with you when it comes to your business and your personal beliefs. So you want to separate those two things. It's exactly why I have a photography Instagram aside from my business and personal brand, is because photography for me is an art, you know. And so I have, you know, some frisky pictures on there, not crazy frisky, but, you know, they're a little bit more fashionable, they're a little bit more, you know, stylish, or a little bit more, maybe a little bit more revealing. But on my personal Instagram, I don't post that stuff because that's my brand. You know, I talk about business on there, and there aren't people that I want to see that same stuff. So just separate the two. I would say last but not least, you know, make sure that the people that are seeing your stuff on social media, make sure that you are also as committed, you know, to them as they are to you. You know, be committed to the content creation, be committed to posting every single day, depending on your brand. If it's a, you know, if it's a food brand, or if it's a clothing brand, or it's a fashion models, or whatever it is, but just understand that they're for different brands. You got to post every single day. 100% posting every single day is very important. But for different brands, you got to post multiple times a day. It really just depends on what it is that you're promoting. But what I wanted to do for you guys is have a few different pointers. So so you got those practical things. We got about 4 different pointers that I wanted to go with you ladies. When it comes down to social media, you know, this is final. This is wrapping all this up just to be, you know, general and as basic and brief as possible. I know I only had a little bit of time, but point number 1 that you got to understand is that social media is about unlimited people. You get access to unlimited clients globally all around the world. So just remember that social media is a wider net where you're going to get access to a lot of people anywhere in the world. The list of people that you don't know is much greater than the people that you do know. Just remember that. So when it comes to social media, be willing to go out there, be willing to connect with people, be willing to be as bold as you possibly can, because at one point you will have to be as bold in person. And so utilize the opportunity to create those relationships on social media with people that you've never met in person, but there are so many people all around the world. So pointer number 2, when it comes to social media, it's the future of business. CNBC actually published an article, I don't know if you ladies saw it, that in February 2020, actually reporting that a lot of people bought more online than they did in actual stores for the first time in history. So at the end of the day, you got to realize if you have some kind of service, if you have something, a product that you're selling, whatever it is, people don't like to be sold, but they damn sure like to buy. Excuse the language, but you know, that's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, people are buying online. That's what they're doing right now. Amazon, you know, all these different websites, people are buying like crazy. And so if they're gonna buy anyway, why not be from you? But again, people don't like to be sold. So you got to get real creative on social media, but people love to buy. Social media, online marketing, all this stuff. I mean, there's a massive future in this industry, and that's exactly why I spend so much time developing it, and why I spend so much time helping other people develop it. It might not be as fun as you thought. A lot of people, you know, in my social, and when I would like work with like big companies, people would be like, oh my God, your job is so easy, but it's really not. And it's not always that fun. You know, there's some things that you have to sit down and really be really critical with. So again, so I went through point number 2. Point number 3, social media is your digital identification. And I said that all the way up at the top. It's literally what represents you and identifies you to the masses of people that don't know you in person yet, right? People used to use business cards. Now we use social media. We have Facebook, you know, we have Instagram, we have all these different platforms for people to see what we're about. So those are a few things you want to keep in mind. People are looking to assess you based on your social media. They're trying to figure out everything about you, if they should buy from you, if they shouldn't, if you're somebody they want to follow, if you're somebody that they want to listen to. They're looking if they should even associate themselves with you through social media. So super important. Point number 4, very, very simple. Last and final point is that social media is a major follow-up tool for any business that you may have. It's a major way. I mean, I see restaurants in my industry in particular, you know, follow-up is important, you know, depending on who you are, but follow-up for me is important. But I see people like restaurants. I mean, I've had this relationship with this person on social media that's a restaurant owner, I mean, for years, that is always following up with me, you know, and speaking about vegan stuff. It's a vegan place, and she's always messaging me, hey, how you doing? How's your journey going? I'm not vegan, although I've tried, you know, multiple times. I'm not vegan. I love it, but, you know, it's not something I've been able to fully commit to. But she's always sending me messages, hey, Gio, you know, we got this new shake, and hey, we got this tofu, and, you know, always sending me messages. It's a major follow-up tool for any business that you may have. Social media reminds you and reminds other people of you. Just remember that. People are going to be reminded of your products or services just through social media, and you're also going to remember them because they're going to come down on your feed and you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's right, you know, this so-and-so person is interested in that kind of stuff. You know, you'll just be reminded to follow up with them, but they'll message you or you'll end up messaging them. And so, you know, those are a few pointers. That's pretty much it. What I want to say, you know, to conclude all of this, at the end of the day, remember, there really are no secrets. You know, this isn't some, you know, magical secret thing when it comes to social media. You know, there is nothing like human connection, point blank, period, and in-person branding. So just get that through. Make sure that you understand before you try to build this massive empire on social media, make sure that you have also these in-person skills that people are going to value and going to want to buy more from you and utilize more of your services because of the type of person that you are in person, not just behind a screen. And then also remember that, you know, you don't just attract things, you know, it's not only what you attract, but, you know, it's the work that you put into it. It all comes down to who you are. And if you scratch out attraction, of course, there's so many different ways that people are attracted to you. But if you add that action part, your social media, your business, everything will explode 100%. So I really hope this was of a lot of value. Hadi and, you know, everybody on here, if you have any questions, I'll post my social media. It's something that I've been thinking about really, really thoroughly, but a lot of people keep asking me, Gio, you know, do you want to help more people do social media stuff? And, you know, Hadi knows in our business, we're so busy, you know, so it's like, I might not, but, you know, follow me on social media and I might put up some services online for you guys if you're looking for it. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And, you know, happy Sunday to everybody on here. Very grateful for this opportunity.
Awesome, girl. So wait, first, before you get off, we're going to do this. So the first list is understand what your why is, be willing to put hours in, understand your audience. I think there was one more thing that I didn't write down.
Okay, so you got intention, know your intention, know your why, be willing to put the hours in.
Yep.
Understand your audience.
Yep.
Understand the power in your representation. Bring yourself to your awareness, understand, you know, the awareness of the people around you. And then just understand the power in posting every single day and your commitment to your social media.
Okay, and then the next list, I got it right. Told you I'm a note taker, so I'm like.
And I'm like a blue, so I'm like all over the place all the time.
I'm a note taker, so I'm like, okay. So understand that social media is unlimited, people everywhere. It's the future. I feel like there was 4 things, but I might have only wrote down 2.
Yep. Point 1 is unlimited clients globally. Point number 2 is the future in business, according to CNBC. You know, the most amount of people online shopped online than in store. Number 3 is your digital identification. And number 4, it's a major follow-up tool.
Love it, love it, love it. And I mean, the reason, so I brought, like, we've done social media, and we talk about different things within social media on here, because this call is for, like, you know, pivoting in your business and in life. It's just, you know, just really working to be as well-rounded as possible. And I've always tried to bring people on talking about social media because it's an uncomfortable space for some people. And if you're in a home-based business, at least one like ours, they were like, no, don't do it. You need to do only, you know, face-to-face things. And we have to understand that you have to have a combination of both. But what's true, no matter what, is your authenticity as to who you are. You know, what's true to both is your commitment to doing it. That's true no matter what. And just showing up. I mean, taking action, which is, you know, there's some people that are on here that will think about doing it for so long that they don't do it.
Right.
And you just got to get up and go get things done on a consistent basis. And no matter like where you're at, it's just get that stuff done. And, you know, I know that Gio, they were asking about the shirt. So I put the website in here, entrepreneur.faith. Because everybody's like, I want one of those shirts, you know. And that's the other great thing about this community is the ladies are super duper supportive and excited to help others flourish. And I think that is an area in entrepreneurship, especially as women, that you just don't do a great job of, is just, and I said this at the beginning, your shine is never dulled by putting the spotlight on somebody else. And if you get very good at that, you'll never have to worry about spotlight for yourself. Never. But if we can get that through our heads, you know, like as women, we're a little catty at times, right? We can just say what it is. And so it stops people from getting the blessings they're supposed to get, because the one person that you're chopping down, the one person that you're not answering their message, like you don't know on social media, just so we're all very clear, you don't know who it is that you're not answering back on social media that will bless you with the lifestyle that you want, right? You don't realize those types of things. And so with social media allowing you to have access to so many different people, create these everlasting connections. Like through this pandemic, I've literally created the most solid relationships that I've had in years and years, because we were sitting behind the computer and we were like, all right, girl, let's just get to know you. Like, and then I'm realizing I know a lot of very dope women that I'm able to help and they're able to help me, and we could do a bunch of things together. But it's that you got to take that time. You got to take that time. You got to do it with like a good heart. So I say all of that to say, as we grow, all of us in our entrepreneurship journeys and our life journeys, it's very important that you are a giver before you're a taker. If there's any relationship that you're in where you're constantly getting from somebody, understand that you're putting yourself in a spot that they will cut you off at some point. And so I've learned that, like, I want to give, like, any way that I can. I want to add value into people's lives. And so for the 57 women that are still on here, that should be a goal for you, that you're consistently adding value into the people's lives that are around you, versus you figuring out what you can get from people. And I sense that in people where they're always trying to get. You've got to be that person that gives so much that somebody is like, oh my God, you're consistently giving. Like that does something for the karma in your business and the karma in your life. And so, you know, if there's one thing that we could take away from this, is that, I mean, we learned about change today with Christy Littlejones. We learned about the importance of like accepting that everything is changing. The only thing that's constant is change. You know, from Nurse Charms, we were able to understand that setting goals is very important, and being able to transition and pivot in life and going after what we want. And if it looks like a storm, there's still a rainbow that's going to come afterwards. And from Kina, we understood that most of us have like trauma that is deep down. And whether we're ready to admit it or not, or ready to get over it or not, understand that it could hinder you from performing at your best on a consistent basis. And then Gio wrapped it up with allowing us to know that we have access to everybody. Social media has made it so that we do. You've just got to show up and take action on a day-to-day basis. And so I feel like we had an amazing call once again, better every single week. We're obviously back here every single Sunday. more than welcome to invite people. And sure, Gio, whenever you get time, the ladies would always be happy. If you ladies would love to have Gio come back, let us know that you would love to have Gio come back. We'd be more than grateful to learn more, you know, as to how to help our social media. And I'm sure you've got tons of entrepreneurship things that you could talk to us about. I know that you do have a trip that's coming up, right?
Yes, a women's trip, which is going to be in November. It's going to be, so the name of it is called Vogue Vacation. It's all about empowerment, all about female elevation, and making sure that the women on that trip understand the value in relationship building. So we'll be doing some really amazing stuff.
So make sure you're following Gio so that if that's something that you would be interested in, that you could go ahead and chime in. And I'm just thankful, like super thankful for this community. I'm thankful for all the speakers that took time out on their Sunday to spend with us. I know you could have been doing anything else in the world, but you are here with us, and we love and appreciate all of you guys for that. And so guys, if there is, Cindy just asked, is your Vogue retreat still open? And so for anybody that wants to be connected, I'll make sure to Gio that you're put in our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group where they can stay connected with you, learn about different things that you have going on. So I'll make sure of that we all stay connected there. And ladies, we're pretty much done, yo. We are definitely done. Very excited to have all of you guys. I know you guys are asking questions, so I won't cut off the chat or anything, but I appreciate you. If you guys have any comments, anything, let us know. Make sure you come back next week. We will have Jonelle. If you guys remember Jonelle, she talked to us about stocks, and she talked to us about, I think she's gonna actually talk to us about getting out of debt this next Sunday, but the way my memory is set up, it might not be that, but it's something financial. So Janelle will be on, of course, Christy Jones will be on. Erica, who, if you follow her, Erica is online. She talks to us about transitioning. She's going to talk to us about having a complete and total well-being. And then we're going to actually have a fashion consultant come on and just talk about creating your personal fashion for yourself, right? So we're going to have a star-studded lineup again next week. Definitely excited to have everybody hop back on for it. So if there's anything that you guys need, put it in the chat. Make sure that we stay connected to Gio. She said it's sold out. Oh, okay. She said, however, we do have some ladies that won't be able to make it. And so, oh, good. Cool deal, cool deal. So awesome. So it looks like somebody just put their email in there. There it is. So yeah, make sure that you guys all stay connected. And Gio, like I said, her information is on Instagram. You could also go to godtrepreneur.faith to go ahead and get that shirt. And there's a lot of really dope shirts on there that you guys can definitely support. So love everybody. Thank everybody for coming out. I'm going to be sitting here for a little bit.